Welcome to the Sports Betting Podcast from pregame.com for the week of December 17th, 2009. I'm your host, RJ Bell. I'm joined by Marco D'Angelo, 30 years in the business, Vegas runner, genuine professional bettor here in Las Vegas, and a celebrity soon, CNBC special. All right, this is segment 1 of 6, big game preview, Cowboys at the Saints, Saturday night. Tell us about the line in this game, Vegas.
Okay, Saints opened up as a 7-point home favorite with the total set at 52. As of today, Saints are still -7, but the total's moved up to 54. So definitely some money on the over by the Sharps, but that could be trying to get ahead of the market because come Saturday, you could expect a lot of public money to be bet on the over with these two teams.
And that's one of the recurring concepts is... One is that game day is where a vast majority of the public money comes in. Number 2 is sharps are betting either because they like it early or because they want to get ahead of the public move and do a potential buyback later. Another concept in December that we deal with a lot is weather, but clearly we have a dome here.
Correct.
Okay, so this is going to be my official free pick this week, but I like to hear what the real pros have to say first. So, Marco, what jumps out at you about this game?
Well, we're going to talk about it until one of these teams lose. New Orleans is undefeated, and they've been dancing a tightrope the last 2 weeks again. Go into Washington -8, only win by 3.
All right, so let's talk about that a second. The Saints have been underperforming, but they've shown an amazing ability to win the close games.
Correct.
When you're laying 7, you need them not to have to win a close game. So are the Saints, couple possibilities here. One is the Saints had some letdowns. They're just as good as we thought they were. Number 2 is some injuries potentially have made this team not so good. Or number 3, they're just not that good, and that really 1 or 2 real marquee wins. When you really think of the Saints this year, there's been a lot of close games with a couple of blowouts, with that Patriots game kind of being the big statement game. Is it that they're just generally overrated?
They've had 2 statement games this year.
And blew both teams out.
Both teams out. At the beginning of the season, they played the Giants. Granted, the Giants are not good now.
Back then,
they were undefeated, and they came in and they just leveled them. Then they did the
Which,
Patriots.
as we look in retrospect, not as meaningful as we thought at the time.
Not right. Actually, both games, yes. But it does show that they, we talk about focus and motivation. They really get themselves up for those marquee games. Playing the Cowboys, even with all of the problems that the Cowboys have in December, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that when we get to something a little later, but it's the Dallas Cowboys. It's Saturday night. It's on the NFL Network. It's a big game.
All right, so you're saying, I'm still not hearing the answer, though. Is this New Orleans team overrated?
I believe that they are slightly overrated, and I think it's an issue that they don't come to play 100% every week.
So you're saying when they do come to play at home, they're
the real deal.
They're as good as we think. They just are inclined towards letdowns on the road.
I think they've just played to the level of the competition.
Well, it's a little more than that.
No, and I also think it's the odds maker catching up and inflating the number on this team because this team's won the last 5 straight, but they haven't covered any of them games.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're winning, when you're down 7 with 2 minutes left, and they're kicking a 25-yard field goal, and it's the Redskins, it's not about playing down a competition anymore. That's when you win the game by 7. It's not when you have to score, twice in the last 2 minutes or once in an overtime.
It's just I think there's a lot of pressure too of being undefeated, having that pressure going into every game.
Which is, to you, a negative for
I think it's a disadvantage. I would have rather, with my future ticket, have seen this team lose a game, a meaningless game, not lose to like the Patriots on that Monday night, because then that's a confidence destroyer, but lose like that Washington game by knowing they didn't bring their A game. And if you don't bring your A game, you can't beat everyone. But when you're beating everyone and you're not bringing your A game, I mean, sooner or later, you start believing all you have to do is show up. And I think that's what we've been seeing. I think the Cowboys are going to bring the best out of this team. That's why I think we're seeing the number as high as 7 for a marquee team like Dallas.
Well, I've been doing some press analysis on the Colts and the Saints' chance to win it, to go undefeated. And I've projected this game about 6 weeks ago. I projected this game at -6. 2 weeks ago, I projected at -7. So really, we've got a situation where both New Orleans slightly and Dallas maybe even a little more are less or lightly regarded or not as well regarded as they were 4 or 6 weeks ago. But let's think about that. I think the Dallas drop has been significant.
Yeah.
The Saints drop is a notch. And to me, the fact that it's still 7, I couldn't imagine this line coming out at 5.5.
No. And on a neutral field, if you look at the odds makers ratings, New Orleans, they have them as 4 points better than Dallas. So
assuming, but we know New Orleans, and we kind of touched on that, I'm not even sure if it's just playing down a competition or if it's the home field is so strong for New Orleans.
You're so right. That was the last thing I was going to say. What we're not touching on is that this team's played 4 road games in the last 5 weeks. So that's short practice weeks in between, having to travel. I mean, that's tough to do, to play 4 out of 5 games on the road in the NFL and have the Patriots somewhere in between there on Monday night.
To add to that, mentally, they played the Patriots, then they went to Washington. That was
letdown city.
Right, that's to be expected. But then the following week they played Atlanta, and Atlanta was without their starting quarterback, and they got blown out the week before against Philly. And this New Orleans team crushed Philly. So they got to figure they just got to show up and they can win. So psychologically, you can understand the flat spots for New Orleans. But you definitely will get their best effort. Is that best effort good enough? They got a big break with DeMarcus Ware being out for this game.
Yeah, I want to see more defense from this Saints. I'll tell you the truth. Having a ticket on them, I know everybody's saying how improved this defense is. I need to see more from them, especially down the stretch.
All right, so I'm going to make my official free pick. Now, I've actually been 7 of 13, 7-6, so slightly above the profit, even with some juice. But a little teaser here. Marco, 12-4 on his free picks right here, his official freebies. And Vegas, and that's not even the best. And as Vegas runner laughed before the show, I said, "Isn't Marco, have the best record?" VR goes, "No. VR 10-2 right here, all freebies." I'm going with New Orleans here. One is, people, especially on the internet these days, things happen so fast. People want to act like that they hear it, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's true. And then the next week it doesn't matter anymore because the news cycles are so fast. This Dallas Cowboys team does not play well late in the year.
No.
And that doesn't change just because you get bored hearing it. And maybe I should be talking to Marco about this, this team has a pattern with this coaching staff of fading late, and they start freaking out, which causes it to perpetuate the negative play or the poor play.
And you know what's going on in their head right now. Here we go again.
They're 5-15 ATS in December. We've got a team that's going to be excited at home. I know there's a premium on New Orleans, but there's a premium on Dallas too. To me, it's a wash. It's the play against the Cowboys and a play on the big home field for New Orleans. So as I get VR's thoughts on this, Marco, you owe me $1,000 from our bet last week, and
I've got one thing to say.
I'm sorry. We like to do the payoff on air. So VR, you can. You had something. Go ahead. I'll let you say.
Wade Phillips, for the love of God, don't run the same play 3 times in a row from the 1-yard line.
There's always an excuse. Just hand it over. Okay, now.
And he's got to count it to make sure.
I mean, Dallas has been playing terrible. Dude. They're 1-4 ATS. Their last 5, they've won 2 of those games.
When have they played?
They have, exactly.
Contrarian is supposed to mean that public thinks something that's wrong.
Yeah.
When the public thinks something that's right, it's not contrarian anymore.
They lost by 3 points last week, and the yardage was 347 to 341.
If he had San Diego
even up.
We have to wrap. We got the bet paid off. We got an official free pick, and we're going to be back with our second preview. And remember, if you want to watch all of our videos and future payoffs of Marco to me, go to pregame.tv, or if you want to download and listen, just go to iTunes and search for pregame.com.